What's going on, y'all? YouTube, welcome. It's a beautiful Friday afternoon. Thank God it is Friday. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Lord, for this wonderful Friday. I'm here to do a video on UFC 128. Jones versus Rua. It's going down this Saturday night, 10 o'clock. Exclusively on pay-per-view. Don't miss it, because if you do, you should slap yourself 1,000 times. So I'm just gonna talk about the main card here, because it is 12/24 and it is March Madness week, day 2, and I've had to re-record this video because I just went over just now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get through this video as quick as I can. Okay, first fight I want to talk about is Uriah Faber, Eddie Wineland. Basically, Eddie Wineland was one of the first guys in the WEC to hold the bantamweight championship. Eddie Wineland, from what I've seen, looks like a very tough guy and a very worthy and dangerous opponent for Uriah Faber. So, you know, I know that Eddie Wineland is going to be a huge underdog coming into this fight, just based on the reputation and just based on the fact that Uriah Faber is a former champion and he's making the move down to 135. So yeah. But I like Eddie Wineland though. You know, he's very confident. You know, he's very bold, very cerebral. He's not caught up in the hype with Uriah Faber. I mean, he believes he could beat Uriah Faber. He is a veteran in the sport, you know, and I think he's been around, you know, a lot longer than Uriah Faber, if my calculations are correct. So, you know, Eddie Wineland does have a chance. Don't count him out. You know, he's put in this match for a reason. You know, everything happens for a reason. People tend to forget that. People just tend to look at the materials, like the record and the, you know, the fights that he's had. But, you know, never discount the person's ability. I mean, you know, if they have the ability to beat somebody, then, you know, give him a chance. But anyway, he's a very good striker, Eddie Wineland is. He knows how to mix up his strikes with kicks and punches and knees. So I'm sure he'll be looking to utilize those against Uriah Faber, who is very athletic, very good wrestler, former WEC bantamweight champion, long time. We already know that. Uriah Faber has probably one of the best flying knee lifts in MMA that I've ever seen, and they just come out of the mist. And once he does hit it, you know, people in the audience go wild. So, you know, maybe we might see one of those. But anyway, here's the thing. Simple analysis on this. Eddie Wineland needs to keep the fight standing, needs to avoid the takedowns, basically meaning he needs to stuff the takedowns. I do not know how good his takedown defense is. You know, it's probably pretty good. Hopefully it is. But yeah, if he keeps the fight striking and just stuffs the takedowns, then Eddie Wineland does have a chance of winning this fight. Uriah Faber, no secret here, he's going to want to look to take the fight down, because Eddie Wineland is not that good off his back, of course, because he's a striker. I believe that Uriah Faber will be the quicker man in the fight, and I think that he will be looking to press the action throughout all 3 rounds. So expect Uriah Faber just to come out, you know, like a whirlwind and try to just press Eddie Wineland from bell to bell, and you know, look for him to take Eddie Wineland down, because you know, Uriah Faber has been knocked out before. You know, I believe it was a couple of years ago, I believe in 2008, when Mike Brown was the challenger for the WEC featherweight title. And you know, he just basically caught Uriah Faber with the right hook out of nowhere and dropped him. and that was all she wrote. So Uriah Faber needs to be wary of that, because I did hear him talking kind of slick on the Countdown show, saying that Weiland wasn't a threat. You know, I wouldn't put the cart before the horse so soon, Mr. Faber. You know, I know this is your fight to win, but you know, don't discount Eddie Weiland. You know, he's got a chance. You know, and if he does knock out Uriah Faber or TKO him, you know, I will not be surprised, because, you know, like I said, from what I've seen from Eddie Weiland, he does have the ability to beat Faber, you know. But, you know, at the same time, you know, you never can't discount Uriah Faber, no matter what the odds are. You know, he always seems to come through and amaze me every single time. So, you know, I'm giving Eddie Weiland a chance, but I'm going to go with Uriah Faber on this. And I think what's going to happen is, I think Eddie Weiland is just going to be focused on trying to knock Uriah Faber out, and his ego is going to get the best of him, and, you know, he's going to spend so much energy on that, and Faber's just going to probably take him down somewhere in the middle of the second round, and, you know, possibly get top position, and maybe, you know, pepper him with some strikes, and Eddie Weiland's going to try to escape, and he's going to somehow give up his back, and Uriah Faber's going to take his back, and he's going to get the rear naked choke in the second round. So there you go. All right, next fight I want to talk about real quick: Jim Miller, Kamal Shalorus. Kamal Shalorus, from the fights that I've seen from him, is fairly decent. Pretty good takedowns, pretty good striker, but I mean, let's face it, you know, the UFC is throwing him into the fiery furnace with a top, at least top 5 in the UFC lightweight division, Jim Miller, or top 5 lightweight in MMA period. Jim Miller is. Jim Miller is on a very red hot streak. In my opinion, I think he should at least get another top opponent before he challenges for the belt. But Dana White and them saw otherwise. I do not know why. But be that as it may, here we go. Jim Miller, very good striker, stellar grappler / wrestler, extremely tough, blue collar guy. I like him. He speaks his mind, and you know, he's just he's a killer. He's a stone cold killer, man. He's a hardcore, you know, just flat out bruiser from Jersey, you know, and he's not gonna take any shit from anybody. That's just how he is. But there you go, man. Jim Miller, he could pretty much do whatever he wants with Shalorus, because, you know, like I said, Shalorus, you know, he's not that quick. You know, if he does get a takedown, it'll probably be, you know, if he's probably close to Jim Miller, but he's not going to actually shoot and try to, you know, be sudden with his takedowns. If anything, Jim Miller will probably take him down, beat him up, maybe stand up just for the hell of it, knock him down again, beat him up some more, and then probably submit him. You know, I don't know. But be that as it may, I see Jim Miller winning this fight anyway. And I think it's going to end early. And I think it's going to happen where Jim Miller is just going to be tearing his butt up, you know, with combinations. And he's going to end up knocking him down. And I could see him getting him in a guillotine choke when he does knock him down to the mat. And this fight is going to end in the late first round. So I'm picking Jim Miller. Okay, next fight. Nate, I haven't been so great. Marquardt against Dan, I can't get a fight that I could win, Miller, who is the brother of Jim Miller. Basically, here's the thing. Nate Marquardt, he's more than likely going to be ready for this fight because he doesn't have any pressure on him. Now, we've known Nate Marquardt to be suspect in the past. Sometimes he'll turn it on and just completely floor guys, you know, with a knockout or a submission, or, you know, sometimes, you know, he'll get kind of scared and he'll take it easy and try to outpoint his adversaries. But I believe in this fight he's going to try to end it. Nate Marquardt is a very complete fighter, very well-rounded, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I still believe he's a top 5 fighter in MMA, with all due respect to him. And I actually like Nate Marquardt. I think he's a cool guy. You know, I think he's very easygoing. You know, I think he looks like he might be fun to hang around, you know, outside of MMA. So, you know, I like Nate in this fight. But also, I like Dan Miller, too. You know, Dan Miller seems to be a really cool guy as well. And I think Dan Miller, you know, could pull off, if you want to call it an upset on Nate Marquardt. You know, I think he could use his wrestling to control Marquardt and try to win a unanimous decision. And I think that might be his best bet, because I don't think he's going to be able to submit Nate Marquardt, because Nate Marquardt is, like I said, a very accomplished grappler, and he's also a better striker than, you know, he's also a better striker than Miller. And we saw in the Michael Bisping fight, you know, Dan Miller can take some shots, man. He's a tough guy. He's got a hard chin, so it'll be very difficult to knock this guy out. So, you know, I'm going to say that if Nate Marquardt does win this fight, I'll say he'll win it by submission. And I say it'll happen somewhere late in the 3rd round. You know, because like I said, Dan Miller is tough. He can take punches. You know, Chael Sonnen took Nate Marquardt's hard knee from Nate Marquardt, and Nate still couldn't put him away. And Chael Sonnen ended up just crushing him, you know, in those last couple of rounds. So, you know, if Dan Miller can use that strategy that Sonnen did, or that Okami did, and just stifle Nate Marquardt with wrestling, then he could win a unanimous decision. But I think Nate Marquardt, you know, is going to end the fight. And I'm going to say he does it by submission. And I'll say he'll do it probably, you know what? I'm going to pick a Kimura in this. I'll say he ends up getting a Kimura on Dan Miller somewhere late in the 3rd round. So I'm picking Nate the Great. But Dan Miller, always in a fight, never can count him out. So Dan has a chance. Alright. Next fight. Mirko Cro Cop against Brendan Schaub. Oh, jeez. Not too much I can say here, man. You know, Mirko, you know, it comes a point in time in a fighter's career where he has to realize, you know, am I really fit for this anymore? Can I really do this? Like, seriously. You know, Mirko, that question has to be floating in his mind somewhere. But anyway, the bottom line is Mirko hasn't looked like himself, you know, ever since, you know, his first stint in the UFC, and then when he left, went to Japan, beat a couple of cupcakes over there, and then came back to the UFC. I mean, you know, he just doesn't look like himself. And he's facing a young, hungry, determined, and supremely confident and very heavy-handed Brendan Schaub, who I do like. You know, Mirko, I don't think he has a choice here. He has to come out and make that statement. He has to come out and he has to knock Brendan Schaub out. There's just no way around it. There's no unanimous decision for him, no submission for him. He has to come and put Brendan Schaub away. And it can't happen, because if Roy Nelson did it, then I know Cro Cop can do it. All he has to do is just develop that killer instinct. But you know what? While I'm saying all this, I don't think it's going to happen. I think he's just going to take it easy and lay back. And I think Brendan Schaub is just going to go to work. And I think somewhere in the 1st round, as it pains me to say this, Brendan Schaub's going to end up catching him, either like with a combination or a hook, and end up dropping him, and he's going to ground and pound him. Bottom line. So I'm picking Brendan Schaub, middle 1st round, TKO. I'm sorry, Cro Cop. You know, we've been praying for you in hope that the killer in you would arise, but you know, you've let us down too many times. So there you go. I'm gonna be doing another video for Shogun and Jones, so stay tuned.